Hello my friends, I am Indie Pride and welcome back to Total War Warhammer. Doing something a little bit different today. We've got an ESL Semifinals match between Diplomatt and Vendetta. Diplomatt is currently running the Wolf Total War channel in the absence of Blademaster, so make sure to check him out. But he's rocking with Bretonnia in this matchup. Really important thing to note right off the bat, no beloved Son of Bretonnia ability on his Lord. Believe it was banned for this tournament because making an entire army of peasants immune to psychology, giving them +8 melee attack is just a little bit broken. So his peasants will not fight like professional soldiers in this one. Also has a Virtue of Empathy Paladin, dismounted and walking with the plebs. Very interesting choice there, I like it a lot. That encouraged aura from the Paladin should go a long way in keeping his melee troops in the fight. Got a Damsel with Harmonic Convergence and Curse of the Midnight Wind. AoE buff spells only, go figure. And some gorgeous looking Grail Knights in the back will supply his army with some much needed killing power. It's kind of counterintuitive because currently a lot of Bretonnian builds don't use cavalry, but I'm glad Diplomat brought Grails in this one. They can pin down enemy flyers really well if they happen to land, and they're obviously fantastic for slaying undead things. So really cool to see them. Hopefully they get used well. Across the way we've got Vendetta commanding the Vampire Counts and Vendetta. Strigoi Ghoul King on a Terrorgheist backed up by 2 additional units of Terrorgheists. So right off the bat, we can clearly see Vendetta has some air superiority going on. He's got 4 fell bats as well. They'll be used as meat shields to block charges from the enemy flyers and also tie down the peasant bowmen. So he's definitely got a serious air advantage. Now the Terrorgheists have 40 bonus versus large, so they'll munch through that Hippogriff and the Flying Paladin really easily. And on the ground we have the Graveguard. A bunch of them just spread out in a long thin line, and some Sternsmen as well. So I'd say he probably has an infantry advantage as well. So it'll come down to the magic of the Damsel and whether he can tie down the enemy flyers. Now, obviously there are a couple ways you can get away from enemy flyers. One of the best ways is just go down into melee combat with one of the Graveguard or something, and then hope you can back them up with spears or the Grail Knights. We've got the Virtue of the Empathy Paladin on the ground, buffing up the morale of all troops, and I actually really love that Paladin model. It looks so awesome. And the way he's going to be kind of using him in the middle of that formation looks really cool. Reminds me of Tabletop, where you can actually put enemy or put lords or heroes into certain units, which I really like here. So we're going to see Vendetta try to push that flying advantage early on. He's definitely going to go straight for the Lord and for the Flying Paladin on the Pegasus. Try to get them off the field as quickly as possible. If the Lord goes down early on this battle for Diplomat, he's going to be in serious trouble. And you can see those Terrorgheists do not care about those peasant bowmen fire. They're going to go straight in and try to take out the enemy Lord. And Diplomat is doing the right thing. He's going to go straight into melee with one of those skeleton warriors and then hopefully try to back up. You can see the Grail Knights are moving into that position. Let's go into slow motion here real quick. And we can see the charge come into those skeleton warriors. So these Terrorgheists, again, have 40 bonus versus large. 3 of them landing on the Hippogriff's head is going to be seriously bad news for the Bretonnian Lord. But one of the advantages he will have over Lewin is that he can use the Unbreakable Healing Potion so that he doesn't get terrified, and he can also heal. He has a Potion of Toughness as well. So look at that. Look at how fast he dropped. Already down to a 3rd HP. That is seriously problematic, but he can also help debuff the enemy Terrorgheist with the Curse of the Midnight Wind, which is going off now. Good charge coming in from the Grails. Should do a lot of damage to those skeleton warriors and maybe pin these Terrorgheist, but the Potion of Toughness should keep the Lord in the fight if he pops it in time. And I think he did pop that potion. Things are going to get real crazy here. So the Paladin on the Pegasus are in melee now, but there's not much the Hippogriff and the Paladin can do at this point. Those Terrorgheists do so much damage, and they're all smacking on the Lord right now. So it's a good thing that they debuffed the entire area with Curse of the Midnight Wind. That will be a big deal. Minus 34 melee attack definitely hurts. But you can see the Bretonnian Lord is already wavering and might rout very soon. Potion is getting popped right now, and he should, yeah, the Unbreakable Potion is getting popped now, and his Healing Potion should kick in very soon as well. So, gonna prevent his Lord from going down, but still very scary engagement in the center. Virtue of the Empathy Paladin in melee combat, pulling through, keeping his guys in the fight, and Graveguard are tied down in melee combat. Looks like Soul Blight is getting cast over here. It might have been Doom and Darkness, actually, I'm not sure. But there's going to be a leadership debuff here, and that will end up terrifying the Bretonnian Lord, and he will run from the field. I do expect him to come back, though, but those Terrorgheists are actually having a lot of trouble giving chase. You see the Grail Knights are doing a great job pinning down these Terrorgheists, making sure they don't take off and give chase to the Lord. This Terrorgeist getting pinned down by 2 Grail Knights, who are actually racking up quite a decent amount of damage on these 3 massive flyers. So the Strigler Ghoul King leadership is down to almost 0, and his health is about half HP as well. So did more damage in that fight to the Terrorgeist than I would have expected. Over here we got some Men-at-Arms Polearms engaging with the Skeleton Warriors. Should win over on this side, and the Bretonnian Lord is coming back into the fight, getting a good strike at one of the Terrorgeists over on this side. Strigler Ghoul King has gone over towards the center of the engagement, I think maybe to Invocation of the Heck, some of those units over there. And again, the Lord is going to get terrified and run from the field. He can't do that too many more times or he will just break, but breaking is obviously a lot better than just outright dying to those Terrorgeists. Pretty even engagement so far. Paladin definitely doing a lot of work in the center, and I really can't overstate how important that Encourage Aura is right now. These Men-at-Arms units would have probably already routed without the leadership buff from the Paladin. In the background, we can see the Terrorgeist Goon Squad is finally taking flight again, but that means the Grail Knights are free for some scrumptious hammer and anvils on the Grave Guard in the center. For the lady, for the Wood Elf Goddess who uses us as a human shield, huge charge coming in, and that should flatten those whites in the center, and that is what you'd like to see with Bretonnia. Huge charges from Knights in Shining Armor. Really good move there from Diplomatt, but it looks like the Terrorgeist is going to overlap the engagement. With the bonus versus large, should do quite a bit of damage to that group of Grail Knights who are now pinned and kind of surrounded. But the Men-at-Arms Polearms are actually kind of overlapping the engagement as well and will pin the Terrorgeist. It looks like in the background, the Bretonnian Lord has routed. Soul Blight going off, Curse of the Midnight Wind going off. We have a crazy deathmatch here at the end of this battle. Paladin in the center of it all, trying desperately to keep all of his peasants and Men-at-Arms still in the fight. Strigler Ghoul King is doing alright so far. He's not actually pinned, but this Terrorgeist is, and the Grail Knights, oh, they tried really hard to pin down that Strigler Ghoul King and prevent him from taking off again. We're not quite able to, but they're still free. They're really low HP, but they can still do a lot of damage with that charge bonus. We'll see if they'll be able to tie down any of these units. He still has them in the background. Strigler Ghoul King is actually going for the Peasant Bowman. He cannot allow them to continue firing in. And looks like Invocation of the Heck going off. Ooh, and a nasty kill animation there. That was awesome. But the Paladin and the Grail Knights have landed on the Strigler Ghoul King, and now he is isolated, and he's not going to get away from this engagement, getting shot point blank by all those Peasant Bowmen. And the Strigler Ghoul King is going to go down here, trying to take off there with the Terrorgeist, but he's not able to and will just collapse into the dirt. That is a big deal. The Lord is down for the Vampire Counts. That should start sending some crumbling through the Vampire Counts army, but there's a lot of routing on the Bretonnian line as well. Good charge coming in from the Paladin. Should do a lot of damage to the Terrorgeist there. He's used his Paladin very well. I would have expected him to die in that first engagement against all 3 Terrorgeists. Strigler Ghoul King trying to do a little bit of damage here at the end, just terrify a bunch of the units, but the Paladin is keeping their morale in a decent spot, and no one is actually really routing. There's that one unit of Spearmen at Arms that just broke, but for the rest of the army, they're actually holding out very, very well without their immune to psychology, and I think that was all due to the fact that Diplomatt brought that virtue of the Empathy Paladin. That has made such a big impact on the battle, and now with the Peasant Bowman firing in on the Terrorgeists, this is going to go Diplomat's way. There's really no way for Vendetta to bring this one back in his favor. Terrorgeist's going to try to just terrify or murder some Peasant Bowmen in the background, but not going to make it. Hail of arrows coming in now, and will drop to the ground very, very soon. Well played to both players, but I really like Diplomat's build there. It was really smart, making sure he had a dismounted Paladin that was always there to support the main line. Really helped out his peasants and his Men-at-Arms, and did a good job of trying to avoid those enemy Terrorgeists. I liked Vendetta's build too a lot, honestly. I think bringing 3 Terrorgeists against Bretonnia is a really good idea. You have 3 units that cause terror. You have a bunch of killing power to win the air fight. It was a really smart build. I just think Diplomatt ended up microing very, very well. And also got a little bit lucky in the fact that his Bretonnian Lord didn't die when he was attacked by all 3 of those Terrorgeists. Definitely expected him to drop there, managed to get away, and did shatter at one point, but didn't die, which meant that the big morale penalty didn't end up getting sent through the entire Bretonnian line. Also definitely important to note, a lot of Diplomat Spearmen at Arms had gold chevrons, so they were also getting leadership bonuses from that as well. Grail Knights made a big impact, 131 kills and tying down all those Terrorgheists. Definitely very well used in that game, and Vendetta Sternsman putting in a lot of work as per usual. The Sternsman Regiment of Renown is beastly. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll be bringing you some other matches from this ESL semifinals matchup in the next couple days as well. Have a good night, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates.